Rarin, welcome back to the channel. You and I have done a few of these now, and I have got a particularly exciting one for you today. We've gone through a myriad of different cards. Today, I'm going to be showing you some of Yu-Gi-Oh's most broken cards of all time. And you've got a couple of goals today. Your goals are to determine whether or not you think these cards are banned, because I may or may not have thrown some ones in here to trip you up, just to maybe see and question your ability to evaluate these cards as a Hearthstone player. And then some of these cards actually received an errata. I'm curious if you're going to be able to tell me if these cards actually, which of these cards received an errata, if they received one at all.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, I'm guessing if it was banned, and then also if it was errated. And then
correct.
You're also throwing me like red herrings to distract me.
When it comes to banned, I'm talking about the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. So some of these cards might be older and they were banned because they were, you know, insanely powerful, but maybe they're unbanned for one reason or another now. Maybe they got errated, maybe they're not good anymore. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. And we're going to start with a very iconic card. Tell me what you think about this card.
Fuck, I thought you were going to show me Pot of Greed. I was like, yeah, it's a freebie. Right. Dark Armed Dragon. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card cannot be special summoned except by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard. You can remove from play 1 dark monster from your graveyard to destroy 1 card on the field. So if this is on board, you could do that.
Correct.
You could do that. You could do that multiple times at a turn because it doesn't say once per turn, meaning this card's probably very good. Okay, you're gonna can I ask you just one simple question here?
Okay.
If you're gonna put this card in your deck, would you say that it's more than likely that you're gonna have 3 dark monsters in your graveyard?
If you are going to play this card in your deck, you are probably going to play a dark-focused deck. And I will give you a bit of a hint that the set this card was released in was a dark support-focused themed set.
I am trying to imagine why this card would be bad. I feel like this is very good because you could play this, you could summon this, it's on the field. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Does the card get rid of the stuff in your graveyard when it's summoned?
So when it's summoned, it just comes out on the field. Like, to banish the cards, it says remove from play. It's a bit of an older card. Remove from play is banish. So it banishes to destroy.
No. I mean, when this card is special summoned, like from having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, which is a very weird sentence. Does those monsters in your graveyard get banished when this is summoned?
Does it say they do?
Okay, I hate you so much. This card is probably very, very good. If that's the case. Then you can,
what were you thinking? Why were you asking that, huh?
Well, I would imagine that like when you special summon something, normally I feel like it gets rid of the materials needed to like actually summon the monster on the board, right?
So interesting.
It's interesting that it wouldn't work like that, which is why I had to ask that question. And I feel like because
is there anything that formulates in your mind that could be a potential disaster for why that might be the case?
Like other than just destroying your opponent's stuff for virtually free if it doesn't.
No, I'm just asking if you're putting it all together, but maybe you're not.
Maybe
there
I'm
yet.
missing a card, but I don't know. My mind is like if the materials don't leave the graveyard, you summon this thing and then you remove 3 monsters or 3 things immediately, which is that seems pretty fucking good. I'm gonna be honest. So I feel like this is very good. I'm just trying to imagine like the only I guess real question mark is just how hard is it to put 3 monsters in your graveyard? And I don't think that's that bad. I'm assuming this card's in your hand as well, right? Like for it to be summoned like this. I'm sure there's tutors. This is very good. And if it comes into your graveyard, wait. If it does that work? If it's in your graveyard, can you just resummon this?
The Dark Arm Dragon? No, because it can only be special summoned from your hand, if you have 3 darks.
Okay, I was gonna go like Giga Brain there, where it's like technically you have 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, so I'm just gonna keep replaying this. But I think this is very good. I'm just trying to think in my mind why this would be bad, but I feel like this is very strong. I could see this getting banned. I'm pretty sure it'd be banned depending on when it would come out. Like,
imagine this in Hearthstone. I don't know how this would work. Like you have 3 beasts in that like have died this game, and you get to like play a guy out, and then
that'd be nasty. No, that'd be disgusting. Anything with mana cheating is disgusting, and this is almost virtually that'd be disgusting. Absolutely. I think this is very good. I would say this is probably banned.
Okay.
I think in earlier Yu-Gi-Oh this would be banned for sure. So I'd be willing to say it's banned. I don't know about errated. It's tough to say because like I don't think this is effect is like that unique enough where they feel like they would have to remake it. I'm gonna go with banned, but not errata.
Final answer.
Final answer.
So we'll save the errata portion for the end. Maybe you can write down what you think may or may not be, and we'll revisit that towards the end. But starting off strong, you are correct. Dark Arm Dragon was, in fact, banned. So this, we actually call this DAD because of the abbreviation, DAD. So DAD is arguably one of the most terrifying boss monsters Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ever seen. This card was printed in 2007, 2008, so about 6 years into Yu-Gi-Oh!'s lifespan. And this card was the reason that many people, myself included, actually probably quit playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Around this time. So when this card was released, for context, this card was about $350 for a singular copy.
Nice.
And the deck that would play this card ran 3 of it because it was legal at 3 when it was first printed before anything happened to it. So you needed to drop at least $1,000 if you wanted a play set of Dad, and that's not counting all the other dark support cards surrounding it. Not to mention, you didn't pick up on the fact, you were very close, I didn't want to give it fully away. If you have 3 dark monsters in your grave, you could special summon Dark Arm Dragon.
Right.
If you have a second one in hand, you can just drop the second one. If you have all 3 in hand, you can drop all 3 immediately, and you have put 7,400 damage on the field, just like that. Typically, 1 Dad is enough to win the game anyway, so it's not like you really need them. But it was just, you know, the cherry on top of the shit sundae that was Dark Arm Dragon and how much of an absolute menace it was.
I'm going to be honest with you. I literally don't even look at the stats of these cards when I evaluate cards. I don't even think about them attaching. I just think like, oh, are they just going to ruin the game? Okay. Like usually that's...
Which is fair. Which is fair. Yeah, but 2,800 on a free monster. You talk about mana cheating. This is effectively our version of mana cheating because you just get to play this guy for free, especially in older Yu-Gi-Oh! That is just insane. But also not to mention that this was a card that was printed when priority still existed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, what priority is... In modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, if I were to play Dark Arm Dragon, you would have the ability to respond with a trap card before I'm able to activate Dark Arm Dragon's effect. Prior to, I want to say it was like the early 2010s at some point, we actually had priority in our game, which if I special summon this Dark Arm Dragon, I can declare priority and activate Dark Arm Dragon to banish a dark monster from my grave to pop or target rather one of your cards before you even get the chance to respond with anything else. So I would guarantee pop a card by dropping this Dark Arm Dragon onto the field before you can do anything. And that was just another reason why this card was just absolutely fucking brilliant.
I get you.
So, yes.
So priority is no longer in modern Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, they did away with priority at some point in the 2010s. I forget exactly when.
How did that work,
but
though? Like, how did you just erase that mechanic? That seems like it's relatively important for, like, game.
It was just mechanically any sort of ignition effect, which Dark Arm Dragon is, because it says you can remove from play 1 dark monster from your graveyard. That's an ignition effect. It's not like an on-summon effect or anything. So basically, ignition activated effects would no longer be able to be used like immediately before the opponent gets a chance to respond. And so nowadays, if your opponent has any sort of ignition-based effect, you can use a trap card, a hand trap, whatever, to possibly stop your opponent from doing something before they activate it. Before, that wasn't the case.
Sure. Okay. I get what you mean.
So in Edison format, for instance, which is a very popular retro format, priority still exists. It's not like as broken. I mean, Dark Arm Dragon is in Edison format, but it's limited to 1. But their priority still exists, and it's you could learn all about it in that format. It's not fun. It's not fun. I'm glad they changed priority.
Okay, interesting. I don't know if you've ever mentioned that to me. I was trying to think like if you did, but I don't think you did while you're explaining it.
So ignition is ignition based priority is something that, like I said, a lot of people are happy is out of the game because it just makes the game more interactive overall and stops, you know, abusable stuff like this from taking place. That makes sense. And this was one of the least offenders when it came to priority, in all honesty.
Makes sense.
Okay, so you're starting off strong. You're starting off strong. Let me go ahead and show you your next card.
All right, I'm trying to go 100% here. Hold on. I'm locked in.
Okay. Lock in.
Card
Lock in.
Safe return. This is a spell card. When a monster is special summoned to the field from your graveyard, you can draw 1 card from your deck. Is that a permanent spell card? Like, does that stay up?
That is a continuous spell card.
Oh, yeah, it says it next to the spell card. Yeah, you're right. Wow, okay. There's a couple of cards like this in Hearthstone that kind of work. Can't remember exact cards, but it's like every single time you summon a card, or every single time you play a minion, like generate a random spell card in your hand. There's obviously like Gadgeted Auctioneer, which is like whenever time you cast a spell, you draw a card. I don't know if you guys have anything like that in Yu-Gi-Oh, which would be disgusting to be honest. So I'm guessing you don't. Which is for the best. That card has caused problems in Hearthstone for like its entire time it's been in the game, and that thing was 6 fucking mana. Imagine getting that for free. I would have. I mean, dude, like, let's be real. This is a good card, right? Card draw. Okay, hold on. I got to think of this in the world of Pot of Greed, because this looks like an older art. In the world where Pot of Greed exists, what I think this card is banned. So this would be post nerf to Pot of Greed then, because why? But even in the world of Pot of Greed, more card draw is great. This actually, you know what's weird is in early Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not sure how good this would actually be, but I think eventually it'd be very good. I don't know, based on the gameplay that we've done and cards that you've showed me, I would imagine that special summoning isn't as common as it is in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, which means at some point the critical mass would hit for this card to be like disgusting. Oh, I'm thinking it with like Sword Soul right now. You'd probably run this card. I'm trying to think of like why you would run this card. Hold on. I'm in reverse. What's the inverse of Disneyland? I don't know. Winning the lottery.
Real life.
Real life. Yeah, I'm in real life right now. This seems very good. Yeah, I mean, what is there to say? That feels insane. I would imagine this card would be banned, if not limited, but I would say banned for sure. Again, being errated is like.
Sure, that's fine. So they would errata a card because it either was a like design mistake, that something was incorrect when they printed it, so they had to fix it, or they wanted to bring it back into the game, and so they decided to errata it to make it a bit more of a fair card, to make it not as broken, so that people could play with the card once again. That happens in Hearthstone all the time, where they, modify a stat or make something, have higher value or something, or even change the effect entirely.
Yu-Gi-Oh is interesting though, because why wouldn't they just make a new card?
See, that's how I feel, but we're not going to get into that today.
Like in Hearthstone, it's easier because everything's virtual, so like you don't have to make a new card. I mean, I can see it being errated. It's not like I can see like when a monster is special summoned to the field from your graveyard, you could draw one card from your deck. This happens like a max of 3 times per turn or something like that. I think that's completely reasonable, even though like that's probably pretty great. Yeah, I would say banned for sure though. This card seems very powerful.
Final answer.
Final answer.
You are 2 for 2, Raren. You are correct. So Card of Safe Return is an extremely broken card. Still actually banned to this day, as a matter of fact, for obvious reasons. Card of Safe Return, even by old Yu-Gi-Oh standards, is really interesting, just because, like you said, and it's interesting you said it because I thought you were going to talk yourself out of it, but old Yu-Gi-Oh had a much more limited amount of ways to resurrect monsters from the graveyard. But once, we got a critical mass of cards that did such things, there was specific zombie support actually released around the time of Dark Arm Dragon that the zombie sort of gimmick was that they had lots of effects that resurrected zombies from the graveyard, and so paired with Card of Safe Return, you could amass just this absolute ridiculous amount of card advantage, and it was just insane. And so, very abusable card. As you know, Yu-Gi-Oh cards are effectively the resource, and if you're just special summoning guys from the graveyard and getting a bunch of free value for every single time you do that, that's not okay. And so Card of Safe Return has been banned. It's interesting because by modern standards, I think this is like questionable as to whether or not this could come off the list. It is very powerful, and a lot of decks do special summon from the graveyard, but there isn't like a way to like search this card as like part of a combo or anything. So you'd kind of just have to hope to draw it. And then if you draw it, then you can like sort of benefit from it. Okay. But are you going to waste a card slot in your deck to hope to draw this like one-off card? Right? If you did, you just probably win the game. But do we really want a card like that in the game at all? Yeah. Whereas in older Yu-Gi-Oh, Card of Safe Return, like the game kind of goes longer, so you could have more time to find this card in your deck and then see the value of it, depending on how long the game goes. But
that makes sense.
Very broken card, very abusable card. It was in the anime too, and you got to see someone deck out because of this card, which is very funny.
Oh, that's actually awesome. Okay. Actually,
yeah, the main character used this card against the villain playing it and made them deck out because they kept drawing cards off.
Before I type this in, can I look up Card of Safe Return in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime to see what it looked like?
So in the anime, it's the same card art and everything. The difference is you drew 3 cards every time you special summon something from the graveyard. Not one.
Okay, like if I remember correctly, like if they summoned Blue Eyes White Dragon, right? Like it would be on screen, like they would make like a fucking dragon. So I was curious to see what they would do for spells.
No, for spell cards, like in the anime, they would just have the picture like of this card, just next to them somewhere to show that it's up. Yeah, they don't have like this guy like with cards coming out of it in the anime or anything like that.
The budget wasn't there. Unlucky.
It wasn't there. 4Kids was not able to incorporate that one, unfortunately. All right, next card. We're gonna show you a trap card.
Crush Card Virus. Tribute 1 dark monster with 1,000 or less attack. Check all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, your opponent's hand, and all cards they draw till the end of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation, and destroy all monsters with 1,500 or more attack. Hold on. I gotta read that again. 1 dark monster dies with 1,000 less attack, check all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, your opponent's hand, and all the cards they draw. So what do you say check? Like their hand is just open to you?
Yep.
For 3 turns?
Yep.
And then destroy all monsters after?
Yep.
Virtually, of course. There's going to be... Wait, what the... Hey, hold on. Again, I'm in Disney. I'm in real life again. Tribute 1 dark monster with... I feel like that's such an easy thing to do. Then you get all knowledge of what your opponent has on their side of the field in their hand, and then every card they draw for 3 turns. And that also means if they're running a card like Card of Safe Return, every card they draw from that you also get to see. You're saying yep, like this is so obvious, but I'm trying to chalk myself out of it. Hold on. Board clear, and I get full concept of what my opponent is doing. Have you shown me a card that gives me information from my opponent?
Yes. I believe it was maybe the very first card I showed you in the very first episode. Do you remember Confiscation?
No, I'm going to scroll all the way back up. Hold on. No, I'm kidding. Okay,
Confiscation was a spell card that says pay 1,000 life points, look at your opponent's hand, and discard a card out of their hand.
Okay, but you discard a card. That's good. Because I'll give you like a comparison. There's a card in Magic right now in Standard that lets you look at your opponent's hand and like take a card until they destroy the minion, or the creature, I should say. That card is played a ton because it gives you information and you steal a resource. This card is not the exact same thing, but you destroy like a lot of creatures.
Well, if you destroy anything on the field or in their hand, it goes to the graveyard. So it's like effectively discarding it.
Yeah, why would you say that? Hold on. Is that good or bad? I was thinking about it on my way up from the stairs rather than going down the stairs. I was thinking to myself, okay, he wouldn't show me 3 real or not banned cards. You wouldn't show me 3 banned cards in a row, would you? I
don't know, would I?
See, that's where I'm coming down to. Like, I don't know how good this. Okay, let me think about this in Hearthstone terms. 1,000's pretty low, so let's just say it's like a 1 attack stat.
Okay.
I tribute that monster or sacrifice whatever. I get to see my opponent's hand, secrets per se. Let's just call it that, and whatever they draw for 3 turns. I also get to do a board clear.
You wouldn't see their secrets because you don't see their spell and traps that are like already active. If they had secrets in their hand, in your analogy, then yes, you would see that they have them. But if they already have them on the field,
monsters.
so any spell and trap
right,
cards face down. Yeah, it's only monsters. It's only monsters.
Oh, so so if I'm just sorry, I'm just trying to think like physically how you're showing your opponent your hand. Like you're just showing them like half of it, the other 2 cards like you're holding on.
Oh no, so you would still show them the whole hand. I'm saying like
okay.
if they have spells and trap cards set face down on the field, those you don't get to see.
Yeah, okay. No, reading the card explains the card. You're entirely right. I think this is good. I just don't think it's bannable. I don't know. It doesn't seem that bad. I guess maybe having like the knowledge of what your opponent's gonna draw is cool because I guess you can play around it. But I think in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, that's not that bad. I'm gonna go with it's good, but not banned. I just don't see it being banned. I don't know. I feel like it's very good. Like in Hearthstone, this would be just fucking insane because it's like you're just tributing 1 monster for a board clear. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, is that really like what I'm worried about? Because yeah, like I guess you could proc trap cards on your opponent's turn. So while they're doing some nonsense, you could just be like has psych, and then like you destroy all their monsters. And like I'm assuming based on like how the stack would work in Yu-Gi-Oh, like it would destroy their monsters before their effect would proc. Okay.
Depending on the card, yes.
Okay, so maybe this is very good and maybe it's bannable because this card just basically says like you don't get to do anything and I get to also see your hand. It forces your opponent to have something to deal with this, I guess. I can see it like I don't know about current Yu-Gi-Oh, but like older Yu-Gi-Oh, this could be a serious problem. And it looks like it's an older Yu-Gi-Oh card, so I could see it being banned. Final answer.
You sure? You didn't sound too confident.
Listen, I'm more thinking about the mental game of you showing me 3 banned cards in a row, but I'm willing to take the L if it's not banned. I think it actually is good enough to be banned.
All right, Raren, let's talk about Crush Card. Okay.
Okay.
So Crush Card, you're right. This is an older card. This is actually one of the very first prize cards that was ever awarded to people who won tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh! So imagine winning a big Hearthstone tournament, and this is one of the prizes that you receive, in addition to winning that tournament. Cool.
Okay.
So Crush Card Virus, arguably one of the most broken cards in old Yu-Gi-Oh! For all the reasons that you mentioned, which I got my thumbnail photo, so thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Because I was just losing my mind as you were trying to like talk yourself out of how this card is bad in any capacity. Crush Card, aside from the fact that only a few people had it upon its initial release, because its initial release was winning a tournament to actually obtain it. So the people who had Crush Card Virus basically got to play it in their decks and would hose everyone who didn't have Crush Card Virus because basically all of the best monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Had over 1,500 attack for the most part. part. The turn one would look something like this. I'm going to play my 1,000 attack or less dark monster. I'm going to set Crush Card Virus past the turn. The opponent draws, they flip Crush Card, you tribute the monster, you get to wipe out 3 to 4 cards in their hand and see everything else that they have for the next 3 turns. You're just going to win the game. You not only have full hand knowledge for 3 turns, you destroy the best cards in their deck, because the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are monster cards, and most of the best monster cards have over 1,500 attack more often than not, and this was just one of, like, the most annoying cards you could possibly play against. So much so that the people who won Crush Card Virus would go on to win more copies of Crush Card Virus, because in the finals of the tournaments that Crush Card Virus was the prize, the people who had Crush Card Virus would blow out everyone else and have to play against the other people who also had Crush Card Virus to win more copies of Crush Card Virus. Eventually, the card got its actual first printing into the actual game a little bit later on. I think it was a couple years later, and it was a super short printed card that and ended up being like a $200 to $300 card because it was so hard to actually obtain. And then they eventually banned it shortly afterwards, after they made all their money, because they're like, yeah, this card is absolutely toxic and we cannot have this in the game whatsoever. And so this was actually a card used in the anime as well. That's where people like first learned about Crush Card Virus. And then when they announced that it was going to be like the prize card, people could actually obtain it, people like lost their minds, because in the show, it's actually way better in the show than it is like in the actual game. Regardless, this card is absolutely disgusting. It was 100% banned. You are correct. So you are 3 for 3. I did show you 3 banned cards in a row to try to mess with you. You almost took the bait. You almost took the bait. And this is what's even crazier. These 3 cards that I've shown you, Crush Card Virus, Card of Safe Return, Dark Arm Dragon, they were all legal at the same time.
Nice.
So that is just a testament to how Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like back in the old
I
time.
can't believe this game is still around today. I just want you to know. How much suffering can a Yu-Gi-Oh player take that needs to be studied?
Anyway, 23 years later, I'm still here. Let's show you your next card. You know Synchro Monsters. We haven't actually showed you many Synchro Monsters, so we're gonna show you a classic here.
I'm gonna try my best to pronounce this. I want to say I was gonna say Brionac, but there's no way that's correct. Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This is 1 tuner less 1 more non-tuner monster. You're gonna have to remind me what this is. Just for play pattern, but you discard any number of cards to return the same number of cards from the field to the hand.
So Brionac is a synchro monster, which requires a tuner monster and a non-tuner monster. That's like the subtype. So where it says like Sea Serpent synchro effect, it might say tuner down there. And to synchro summon, you obviously need to have the right levels. So Brionac is level 6. So you need 2 monsters or more potentially, but for the most part, it's 2. So you need to have like a level 4 non-tuner, a level 2 tuner, any combination that adds up to 6. You would send those to the graveyard and you get to summon Brionac straight out to the field.
You could discard any number of cards to return. Oh my god! You could discard any number of cards to return the same number of cards from the field to the hand, which means you affect the opponent's side, which is extremely interesting. Is it? I was reading some of the comments on the last video we did just to see what people thought about it. And it's funny just hearing what people, I forget what the card was where you told me like, I can't believe you thought it was a well-designed card because I didn't just.
Oh, Mystic Mind?
Yeah, like, because I couldn't see like what the vision was and like why it was so gross. This is like the same thing. I actually think this card's really interesting. Like you discard any number of cards, return the number of cards from the field of the hand. That is so fucking good if you just win the game off of it, obviously. But the question ends up being like, how many cards do you need to discard for it to be like? I guess it doesn't matter, right? If you hit the 1 card that matters, can your opponent respond to this?
Yeah. So you would activate the effect. You would discard your cards for cost, and you would target. Well, it's weird because the way that it's supposed to work, because it's gotten like updated text over the years. But so the way it's supposed to work is you would target however many cards on the field you wish to return to the hand. So let's say you target 3 cards your opponent controls, right? You would discard 3 cards, and then your opponent would have a window to respond there. If they want to do anything before Brionac resolves.
It's cool. Like, I think it's just it doesn't seem egregious. I can understand why it'd be frustrating to play against this card because it probably wins you the game. But like, I don't know, like it's such a cool give and take for what it is. And it's cool when you're behind too, because it helps you fight back for board. Like, how good is this effect? And would it be bannable? Hold on, let me look at these other cards too, because I think like I had a visceral reaction to like the first 3. Maybe they just look so strong. This one's like on the verge of being very good, but I'm not sure if it's actually bannable. I'm sure this is a very good card. Like that sentence is just insane. Like I would play this in Hearthstone for sure. Like that's so fucking nuts. There's a card in Hearthstone called Sap. You're probably like somewhat familiar with it. It was 2 mana to bounce a minion back from the board to your opponent's hand. That card was played a lot just because the loss of tempo you had from that was like pretty noticeable. And if you're playing like 8 mana and I just paid 2 mana to send it back to your hand, like you're pretty upset about it. And it was played for a while. People like despise that card. Sure. This is the same concept, but I'm not sure, like, this is going to sound stupid because I don't know if tempo is really what I'm thinking about in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's just more like how good is your effect and can your opponent answer it? It's not as minion based tempo as I'm probably thinking it is, like in Hearthstone.
I mean, surely you wouldn't show me 4 ban cards in a row. You know, maybe
surely.
Hold on a second.
Surely
you were playing for me from the very beginning because you told me there's like cards that aren't banned in here, like they're just red herrings. Maybe like that was the red herring. This card seems pretty fucking good. I'm trying to like talk myself out of this card again, and I think it's just very good. It's good when you're behind. It's really good when you're ahead. There's gonna be cards that you don't need in your hand because like you're already winning the game, so I might as well just stop my opponent from playing. Like it's probably just too good. That seems.
Wow, you think I would show you 4 banned cards in a row?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you would.
Wow.
Say it. Say it's banned. You won't.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Like I said, I haven't shown you many like extra deck cards because I'm trying to keep it simple for now. I've got some plans for more extra deck stuff later, but we're keeping it simple. And Brionac's a classic, one of the first synchros ever printed. And you're correct. It's a very, very strong card for all the reasons that you aforementioned. Some things you didn't pick up on is that this card does not have a once per turn. So hypothetically, you could pitch to like discard stuff, bounce stuff back, and then if your opponent does anything or the board state changes in between when you use this effect once, you could do it again if you wanted to. That also is very abusable because one thing you didn't pick up on is you can do this on your own cards as well. And there are cards that this card comboed with that made it incredibly abusable. And for you know, one reason or another is one of the reasons why this card is banned. You are correct. You got it. So 4 in a row. Brionac also... just being able to discard cards is really powerful because you want to get stuff in the grave. For instance, you could summon a Brionac, discard a dark monster, bounce something. Now all of a sudden you have 3 dark monsters. You can special summon Dark Arm Dragon to the field. So like there's a lot of really cool shit you can do with it. Also, Brionac, when it bounces back extra deck monsters, they go back to the extra deck because they don't go back to the hand. And so that's a really good way to effectively remove synchro monsters or anything else that was like in play. Or if even you bounce a Dark Arm Dragon, like say your opponent slams Dark Arm Dragon, banishes 3 dark monsters, blows up your whole field. If you're able to summon a Brionac next turn, you can bounce Dark Arm Dragon back to the hand. Sure, they still have it, but they have no darks in the graveyard now, so that Dark Arm Dragon is effectively a dead card. So Brionac was just able to out a lot of really like just interesting board states. And like you said, if you see a game shot and Brionac resolves, you're able to just go in for the kill essentially. Fantastic card. Phenomenal card.
I actually, I'm trying to think in Hearthstone, like how much mana this would cost. I think it's like, because it's such an interesting design card. And you're right. I didn't even pick up on the fact you could bounce your own stuff back. Like it'd be cool to do that. I guess actually Hearthstone had a card called Grumble. Bounce all friendly minions back to your hand that cost 1. And that card was pretty good.
Okay. Not to mention, too, if Brionac sticks around, like if your opponent doesn't answer it, it puts them in such an awkward position because let's say you have trap cards that could possibly destroy Brionac if, like, Brionac attacks into you. You set those and pass. On my turn, I'm just going to discard, bounce the cards back to your hand, and attack you anyway. And it puts you in this loop where, like, you can't really do anything about it. So it's a card that just, like, demands an answer immediately.
Yeah.
It can backfire if your opponent steals it from you and bounces your own stuff, but obviously you can't account for everything. But very powerful card. The early, this is one of the first synchro monsters, like I said. The very early synchro monsters were very pushed, and Brionac was banned as a result of it. All right, 4 for 4. Let's see if you can keep the streak going with yet another spell card.
Okay. Painful choice. Select 5 cards from your deck, show them to your opponent. Your opponent selects 1 card among them, add that card to your hand, and discard the remaining cards to the graveyard. Okay, probably fucking banned. That seems disgusting. If you're putting 5 cards in your deck, they're probably all relevant to your game plan, and like you're not even probably that upset to put stuff in your graveyard anyways. So let me try to talk myself out of this real fast. Your opponent says 1 card from among them. It's also, I guess, like, okay, your opponent knows that you get 1 card. You're putting 1 card for this to cycle in a sense, but you're also just throwing more cards into your graveyard. You're really happy about that for the most part. I guess the only thing is, like, if you discard your win condition, how sad are you? But I feel like if you're going to put this card in your deck, you wouldn't put, like, a win condition that could be discarded. Like, you would want it to go to your graveyard to win. Just seems pretty good. I guess the question comes...
Well, you also get to pick the 5 cards, too. So, in your example, you wouldn't pick something.
Wait, I'm so sorry. When I read select, but in my mind, I was like, oh, you just draw 5. Selecting 5 cards? No, bro, this is disgusting. This is so good.
You just make every choice bad, and your opponent just feels bad about making a singular decision for you, and it's only going to be positives. How is this bad?
Oh, interesting that the card's named the way that it is. Huh?
Yeah, it's very, I mean, beautiful flavor. Beautiful flavor.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this card's real?
What do you mean real?
Do you think I would show you a fake card?
No. Maybe.
Okay, just curious.
See, when you ask me that for Yu-Gi-Oh, it's tough because I had Stevie show me some fucking linear equation cannon card, and that card I still don't think is real, but apparently it is. So, like, if you ask me,
oh, they made a sequel to that card too, by the way.
okay, well, like, how is this card fake? Like, if we're going to linear equation where you have to do your y equals mx plus b equation, like, there's no fucking way that this card's not
Fair.
in the Yu-Gi-Oh verse.
Fair.
I think this card's disgusting. In Hearthstone, if I could build a deck for this and I get to select 5 cards, because like in Hearthstone, if a card is discarded and it wants to be discarded, that's it's incredible. Like it's so powerful. And I would imagine it's the same thing in Yu-Gi-Oh. One of the best cards in Wild Hearthstone was because there was a critical mass of just really good discard cards. Yu-Gi-Oh is an eternal format, probably banned, brother. Like I don't know. I would be surprised if this wasn't. Very good card.
Final answer.
Very good card.
Let me ask you this, Raren. Do you think I would show you 5 banned cards
Yes.
in a row? Am I that messed up?
Yes, you are. I've been there. Listen, I know you're at. You're at your desk. You're picking the cards for this video, and you go, 5 cards in a row? That seems a little egregious. But also, would he expect 5 cards in a row? No, he wouldn't. So therefore, I'm gonna do it.
It's like when you're taking the exam in school and you have the Scantron and you did like 6 letter B's in a row and you're like, surely that can't be correct,
Exactly.
right? At that point, you just have to commit. And commit you did because you are correct.
Let's go.
Painful choice is banned. I'm going to let you know. Your reaction to this card is probably everyone's reaction to this card, or at least how it should be. This is, I want to say, probably, and this is not an exaggeration, maybe the singular most powerful card in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a vacuum that exists. This is a very old card. This was printed in the 3rd set, I want to say. And as you said, over time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being an eternal format, the power of this card has only just gotten more and more out of hand. I think if you activated this card in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And like Tier Element was still legal, you could probably go like plus 10 off of like activating this card, because the 4 cards you would send to the graveyard would trigger just a whole host of effects that would just result in you having like 10 cards over your opponent by the end of it. It is just absolutely disgusting. In the old days, like when Pot of Greed and such were legal, you could just pick in the instance where I'm pretty sure the OCG had Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity legal for longer at multiple copies. You could pick like multiple Pot of Greed and like multiple thing to get Pot of Greed like back from the graveyard. So no matter what, you're gonna get like Pot of Greed if you want, or just like that. That's just like scratching the surface. But there are so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially older Yu-Gi-Oh, that have redundant effects that you could basically no matter what get what you want. As Yu-Gi-Oh! Aged, became a lot more monster focused, then like you could, for instance, like with Dark Arm Dragon, right? You could have a way where you can make sure that you're going to get 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, and then you could special summon Dark Arm Dragon, right? That's just like scratching the surface on what this card could do. This card is just absolutely disgusting. Pretty much every deck would find some way to play this if this was legal still today. This card will never get unbanned.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's good. You're 5 for 5.
This is a game of just fighting against myself to just be like, no way he's gonna show me another banned card at this point.
Surely I wouldn't show you 6 banned cards in a row, right? Surely I wouldn't show you 6 banned cards. Tell me what you think about this one.
Royal Oppression. Either player can pay 800 life points to negate the special summon of a monster or monsters, and or an effect that special summons a monster or monsters and destroy those cards. You could do this multiple times. This is a continuous trap card, like it says next to the trap card, like text. So like this is just a permanent thing, and it probably adds a weird dynamic to the game. The question is, how weird of a game state would this be for them to want to ban a card like this? 800 life points is like nothing. And if that 800 life points wins you the game, we've gone through this enough where it's like the life points here is irrelevant if it wins you the game. So like you'd be more than happy to do this multiple times, but then your opponent does the same thing, and then it's like a race to see who. It's just like oh my god, you know in poker when like you're like, I'm gonna go all in, and then the guy's also like, fuck it, I have to go all in too because my hand's that good, and then it's just to see who actually wins the game from that. It's almost the same feeling, it feels like, because regardless, whoever's at the lower life points is at a worse state. I don't know how to this is such a strange card. Either player can pay 800 life to negate special summon of monsters and or this special summon monsters effect. Oh my god. The more you're leaning into this, and if you lose that, you're just even further behind. Would Konami want a card like this to exist in their game? I think in Hearthstone, if we could activate this on either player's turn, they would nerf this pretty fast. I don't know if Magic really wants this in their game either. So Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, is the same. Like, there's no way they would want this. This doesn't feel like it's a good thing to have. I'm sure there's a combo in the game where you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, this is so silly, which makes me think this card would be banned as well. Either player can pay 800 life points to negate that. I gotta read this card in case I'm missing something. Like, I keep rereading it. I'm just imagining, like, I hope the poker analogy makes sense, where it literally just feels like if you're not going all in, you're going to lose the game. And if you do go all in, but you are at a lower life point, you just lose the game regardless. And I feel like that's miserable. So your opponent is just like kind of like painful choice or whatever. Like, not even painful choice. The, what is it? Brian or whatever his name was?
Brionac.
Like, your opponent needs to stop it immediately. And then if they don't stop it immediately, like, I think they just lose. So I think this is banned. Like, unironic. Like, I think this card is, I think it has the potential. Like, again, this reminds me of the mine card. Like, it's cool in theory to have this little mini game inside the game, but probably what ends up going to happen is like one player is just going to lose the game because they just don't have the life points to actually fight against the other person. So I feel like this is very good.
When I show you 6 banned cards in a row, I'm just asking.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. At this point, 100%, you're leading into every single card would be banned here. There's probably one card in this list, to be honest, that's not banned. But I feel like this is...
So Royal Oppression, Royal Oppression is interesting. On release, this card saw virtually 0 play. And it saw 0 play, I want to say, for several years. It really took Yu-Gi-Oh speeding up significantly for people to even like bat an eye towards this card. Because special summoning in older Yu-Gi-Oh it was there, but it wasn't like modern Yu-Gi-Oh now where you're special summoning 30 times a turn, right? And so why would there be a need for a floodgate like this if you're only going to stop like 1 or 2 special summons, right? It doesn't make sense. When you're in an extremely degenerate format where special summoning some of the best cards in the game, you know, such as Dark Arm Dragon or Brionac, for instance, Royal Oppression existing is actually pretty good. Typically, how this card would be used is that you would cement yourself in a board state where you have a bunch of big guys on the field. Maybe one of them has an effect like Dark Arm Dragon where you can destroy your opponent's threats, or Brionac where it bounces stuff, something like that. And then your opponent tries to do anything to come back from that. You chain Royal Oppression in response, and then you're able to not only negate and destroy that effect special summon, but now they're just on lock. And as long as they can't like make you run out of life points, essentially, which by older Yu-Gi-Oh standards is pretty difficult to do, then this game is just going to lock up the game entirely, and then it's just game over from there. And yeah, it is an incredibly ban-worthy card and has been banned for, I want to say, 10, 15 plus years. It's just, it's a very, very toxic card to play against.
Let's go.
And so you're correct.
Let's go.
All right, let's show you a newer card. Surely I wouldn't show you 7 banned cards in a row, right? Surely, Rare. Surely. Let's see what you think about this card. This is a newer card, so there's a little bit of text on it.
Cosmo Dark Destroyer. If this card is normal or special summoned, you could target 1 monster on the field, destroy it. Cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effects. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon 1 level 7 or lower Cosmo monster from your deck. Oh, so you can chain these.
Well, it's level 8, so you can't go from 1 destroyer to
you're right.
another.
You're right. Sorry.
But let's just say there are ways that you could hypothetically get to another one very easily.
Okay. You can target 1 monster on the field, destroy it. Can't be targeted by an opponent's card effects. So that means spell, trap, or monster effect. I'm just clarifying.
If it targets, yes.
Can you give me an example? Like an AoE, I guess wouldn't.
An AoE would work against this. So like Dark Hole or Raigeki, that would destroy this, but then it triggers its effect.
It's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon 1 level that has Cosmo monster in your. Okay. Without knowing what other Cosmo monsters look like,
would you like me to show you another Cosmo monster?
I feel like
you want some context.
If I'm going for 100%, I would really appreciate it. That'd be very nice.
Okay, sure. Hold on.
Nice. I'm on track here. I don't want to lose it.
Give me 1 second.
Cosmo Dark Destroyer. The Yu-Gi-Oh universe is so strange.
This is a Star Wars / Wizard of Oz crossover.
Okay.
Archetype.
Cosmo Farm Girl. During either player's turn, you can banish this card, special summon 1 level 4 or higher Cosmo monster from your hand. It only uses this effect of Cosmo Farm Girl once per turn. This card inflicts battle damage to your opponent. You can pay 500 life points and add 1 Cosmo card from your deck to your hand. Battle damage? That doesn't seem that good in Yu-Gi-Oh, but maybe in older Yu-Gi-Oh that would be better. Hold on, let me Let me read the first card again. This card is normal or special summon. You can target one monster on the field and destroy it. So that is a good effect, but to special summon this monster, as far as I'm concerned, is you usually have to sacrifice other ones just because of the star size, unless there's a way to...
Well, I gave you another card that special summons the Dark Destroyer.
The Cosmo Farm Girl? Summon one... Oh, level 4 or higher Cosmo... Sorry, I am... So the chain would be you kill this, you summon a Farm Girl, and then the next turn you do the exact same thing, and it just keeps on going, because then you can keep resummoning more of these.
That's one way you could go about it, yeah.
Okay, so an infinite chain of destroying your opponent's stuff, or I guess monsters, is that good enough? I'm sure there's other Cosmos you would want to like summon. I'm just trying to... When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can pay 500 life points and add one Cosmo card to your hand. So the problem with this effect is I guess you would run out of stuff, because you need cards in your hand. So there has to be like a third piece to the puzzle here, so you keep on drawing cards. Man, this effect with what's it called? Card of safe return, like that's insane. This doesn't speak to me like the others. Like all of them, I would immediately I'm like, this is disgusting, but I know I'm missing something. You can turn.
I will say, I don't know if you overlooked it. Dark Destroyer does have 3,000 attack, which is kind of...
I do overlook it. I do. Yeah, I do. I really do. Because like, yeah, it has 3,000 attack, but then I look at, you showed me Armed Dragon, right? 2,800, I guess is really, really good. But I would imagine that what made this card so powerful is the actual text box, not the stats.
I mean, it could be both, arguably. To be fair, Dark Armed Dragon can't destroy Dark Destroyer.
Holy shit.
Neither in battle nor with its effect.
Man, I don't know. I don't think this is banned. Oh my god. See, now I'm at the point where like maybe you would show me, would you really show me that many cards in a row? And is this the one card that's not bannable? I just don't see the vision of this card. I feel like there's a piece I'm missing. Like, would you say that I could accurately rate this card with Farm Girl and Destroyer? Like, is that only the pieces I need?
I'd say so.
Okay, yeah. Hold on. I got a deep dive here. Hold on. Hey, what is so good about this fucking Farm Girl? You can banish this card, special summon one level farm, and you can only use this effect to cause a card once per turn.
There are also other... I will say this. There are many other Cosmo cards that have that same line of text at the top.
What, you can banish this card and special summon one level 4 or higher Cosmo monster from your hand?
Correct. So it's not like Farm Girl is the only card that does that is able to special summon Dark Destroyer.
The only thing I am missing here is getting enough resources to keep doing the chain. Because the thing I'm noticing with like Farm Girl is like you need to do battle damage to draw a card. So there has to be another card in the sequence that draws you a card for your hand to summon it immediately. Because this is powerful, don't get me wrong. At some point, you're going to run out of stuff. And like, imagine you're playing, you play this and then you play, like you're going against Brian and then he just bounces all the shit back to your hand. And you'll be like, okay, well, I'm just fucked. Is that...
Well, to be fair, Brionac can't target Dark Destroyer.
You're right. Well, sorry. Okay, like you understand. Like, that's what, you understand my point.
I get your point. I get your point. Yeah, I'm just clarifying.
You can target one monster in the field. I guess that's really good though, because you are board wiping every single time. Like as long as you have enough Cosmos, like you could probably do a lot here. And I'm assuming because you did bring up the 3,000 attack, like this is a very, very powerful monster in terms of like how much damage it's gonna do.
I mean, it's a Blue Eyes White Dragon in terms of stats, and like 3,000 is almost half your opponent's life points. So I mean, like I wouldn't scoff at that number.
You're right. I'm assuming the way that this would work is...
What would this be like in Hearthstone?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
So you have what, 30 life in Hearthstone?
Oh,
right?
You're asking the attack.
So this would be like a
10, maybe
like a 10
10
like a 10-8 that has, I don't know if you have like hexproof or something like that. This is like a 10-8 with hexproof and a battle cry that destroys something when it's played.
In modern Hearthstone, I don't think that's good enough. In older Hearthstone, I think that...
Oh, that you could play for 0 mana, though, to be fair.
That is also true. Okay. Yeah, if I'm mana cheating. So, in other words, this card is like, destroy my opponent's board. I can continuously cycle this enough to build a big enough board that I just kill my opponent. If you're going... I just figured this out. There's no special... There's no...
Okay.
Remind me. There's no summoning sickness going second?
Nope.
So...
There's no summoning sickness. Well, yeah. Going first, you can't attack. I was going to say, there's no summoning sickness, period. But going first, you just can't attack.
If you're going second... You would destroy your opponent's board and then just that's the game plan. Like you would stop your opponent from doing anything and then you would, but you can only target monsters, but then your opponent needs a very specific trap card to react to this. And if they don't have it, like they're just fucked. I could see, okay, an older Yu-Gi-Oh, I could see that being like fucking insane. Hold on. I gotta lock in here. Do I actually think this is sustainable?
You can't say I'm not helping you either. You can't say I'm not helping
You're not.
I could be deceiving you.
I'm just trying to ask myself, like, how good is this? Like, because again, like when there's so many times you show me a Yu-Gi-Oh card and I like kind of seethe because I'm like, what the fuck? Why did they print this? Like a really good.
Yeah, you didn't have the visceral reaction like when you saw Painful Choice, but granted, that's like the most broken card ever printed, so I wouldn't expect that reaction.
Okay, I'm. Man, surely he wouldn't show me another banned card, right?
Surely I would.
No, I don't think this is banned. I don't think this is banned. I think there's way more egregious effects than this card. I don't know. I can't see the vision. I need you to explain what the vision is. I can maybe see it. Okay, like I'm gonna do an asterisk here. I think maybe in older Yu-Gi-Oh, I could definitely see it being banned because it's just like a board clear like that runs the game and your opponent can't react to it. So actually, now that I say that out loud, maybe that's actually bannable. And like your opponent can't, like a lot of cards in the game wouldn't be able to interact with some of these cards. No, fuck it, it's banned. No, it's banned. No, 100%. This just causes like a game loop of just your opponent just sits there and goes, if I don't have like a very specific card, I just lose. And I feel like Konami wouldn't want that in their game, especially in older Yu-Gi-Oh. So I would say
final answer.
I'll go with it's banned. I will go with it's banned.
Actually, okay. Do you want, this is from like middle era of Yu-Gi-Oh, if that helps sway your decision one way or another. So it's not as old as like Dark Arm Dragon, but this card was printed, I want to say like almost 10 years ago now.
Okay, so 20.
I don't know if that helps your answer or not. I just want to throw that out there.
In 2014.
Not 2014, maybe like 2016. That sounds 2016, 2017 sounds about right. So maybe it's like 7 years old.
Oh my god, I don't know anymore. Then that's tough. I'm gonna say it's banned. I think this can cause enough problems where like they would have to probably address it just because of how the game loop goes.
So first of all, the Cosmo archetype is a TCG exclusive archetype. What that means is typically when they release sets, we already know what we're going to be getting because Japan gets the sets first, and then a few months later, we get the set over here in the TCG. A TCG exclusive archetype is something they bundle into the sets to sort of keep it fresh for us TCG players so that we have something to like look forward to when sets are released. Sure. And so the Cosmo archetype was this year's TCG exclusive archetype. Typically, they give us like one a year on average. And this Star Wars Wizard of Oz crossover archetype, a lot of people were excited for just because it was like, the art was cool, the lore was cool. And then they announced Cosmo Dark Destroyer in the second wave of support, and everyone's like, oh, this is like the most broken Yu-Gi-Oh card I've ever read. Because a 3,000 attack point monster that can special summon itself for free and pop stuff. Not to mention, a Cosmo monster doesn't have to be the thing special summoning it. There are cards that can bring this card back from the graveyard during your opponent's turn or even during your own turn. So Dark Destroyer was a very abusable card, and the targeting protection made this card particularly oppressive to play against because there were some decks during this era that only maybe had like targeting effects. And so Dark Destroyer, as soon as it hit the field, basically invalidated those decks, just like you were saying. Okay. But there were some decks also during this time that had the ability to kind of go one-on-one with Dark Destroyer because maybe they had the effect that banished without targeting, for instance.
Okay.
Those were, you know, maybe not frequent, but they were around. But on release, Dark Destroyer, I'm pretty sure on the floor of the YCS before that tournament took place when Dark Destroyer was released, these were going for like $200 a copy because people just needed them for their Cosmo deck because this was like the payoff for playing the Cosmo strategy. There was not really like a good card. I won't say there wasn't a good card, but there wasn't like, how do I like absolutely just like unfairly win the game with Cosmo? And this was the card that it desperately needed. And everyone's like, okay, this is a real deck now. Believe it or not, it was not banned. You were correct. Your intuition was there. And then at the last second, you decided to deviate. I thought you were going to keep the streak alive.
Okay. In my defense, it feels like that is a very difficult one to evaluate. Because I have no idea, like contextually speaking, how powerful that truly is. Because it's not egregious enough for me to be like at face value to be like, that's fucked.
I think you were right that I think all your assumptions were correct that it's a very powerful card. And it was just, it did get limited, I believe, for a short period of time.
Fair.
But ultimately, it was just a card that as the game progressed, and especially during that time, there was like just enough cards around that could act as an answer to this card that it was a problem, but it wasn't like the most egregious thing you could be doing.
Completely fair.
And that's what you said. And that's what you said.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a very strong card, nonetheless. Okay. Very strong card.
Yeah. I get you.
Okay. The streak ended. Let's see how many more you can get right, though. Let's see how many more you can get right. Tell me what you think about this card.
Last Will. If a monster on your side of the field was sent to your graveyard this turn, you could special summon one monster with an attack of 1,500 points or less from your deck once during this turn, then shuffle your deck. You like putting stuff in your graveyard? You like pulling specific monsters from your deck? Okay, so this is just a good card in Yu-Gi-Oh! The question is now, is it banned? That seems pretty good. I mean, that's like, we're just talking about the visceral reaction of the last one. Like, this one is just very apparent. Like, this could be very good. Now, the question is it bannable if a monster on your side of the field was sent to your graveyard this turn? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm trying to ask myself, is that like, surely this is banned. Like, surely this is banned. This has to be banned. This is consistent way of having a prerequisite that's not even like really that big of a deal for you as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and you get to find a specific monster. I would say it's banned.
Final answer. That's it.
Final answer. This one's, I think, very obvious, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I was hoping it wouldn't be obvious and you'd have more to say about it, but you're correct. Okay. So the streak technically would have continued if you got Dark Destroyer right. But yes, Last Will, one of the first cards printed in the OCG. This card was so fucked, it was even worse than this, because Last Will's original text said, for each time a monster is sent to the graveyard during this turn, you can special summon a monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck. Ooh. So the greatest, most consistent Exodia deck in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is only ever legal in Japan, you could summon a Witch or a Sangan, which is a monster when it's killed and sent to the graveyard. You can add any monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. You could attack that into your opponent's monster, destroy it, you take some damage, and then your monster would trigger to add an Exodia piece to hand, and Last Will would trigger to summon another one from the deck. And you would do that 5 times, get all 5 pieces of Exodia to your hand, and win the game immediately. And you could do this on the first turn if you wanted to as well.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, that's like the most ridiculous this card has ever been. But then when they ported this card over to the TCG, I think they may have changed it in the OCG prior first, but they made this version that you see here. And even this version is still broken. As time has gone on, especially with summoning mechanics, that you can easily remove monsters from your field to summon a monster from the extra deck, whether it's synchro summoning, link summoning, whatever. Last Will just became easier and easier to activate, and the pool of 1500 or less attack point monsters became even more broken, which is why this card will probably never see the light of day ever again.
Yep, makes sense. Yeah, no, that's in any other card game that would also be very good, just for the record.
How about this?
I'm gonna say this right now, by the way. If I get all these right, I'm counting Destroyer. I don't care what the fuck you say. I'm 100%. There's no way. Return from the different dimension. Pay half your life points. Special summon as many of your removed from play monsters as possible. During the end phase, remove from play all monsters that were special summoned by this effect. Oh, okay, I get you. I'm gonna guess that summoning like the monsters that were removed are either from like what they're exiled. What is it called? They're banished
from the banished zone.
Is that what that means?
The banished zone. So in a nutshell, you bring everything back from the banished zone, and then during the end of the turn, it all goes away.
Half your life. So most life points you're spending is 4,000. This is another interesting one because I don't know how many cards I've really seen, like if they're that good in the banish pool. I think back to like Sword Soul, there's a couple cards that you would banish just for the like the combo and the whole sequence of getting to like your Baron. So I guess that's good, but I'm sure there's more like really good monsters you can summon from them. So you could pick as many as you want, or is it, I guess it just, as long as you have space?
It's all. Because it says as many as possible. So if you have more than 5, yeah. Let's say you have an empty board. If you have more than 5, you then would have to pick, but you have to special summon as many as you can.
This one's another really tough one because I think contextually it depends on like the bit. Like this is one I think just from in a single sentence, there's probably a critical mass of cards that would make this card broken. I would imagine that like there is enough monsters that if they want to be banished, you could play this card and you just win the game from this effect.
You may have seen one in this episode.
Oh yeah, let me scroll. Hold on.
Maybe the very first one we saw.
Oh, because you could banish the
or maybe the one that you thought was banned but wasn't.
Because you're not actually like, I guess it's still technically a special summon, but you don't actually need the requirements to special summon it from your hand. You could just rip it from this and then do the exact same thing as long as you have the dark monsters in your graveyard.
Well, you can't special summon the Dark Arm Dragon off of return.
Why wouldn't you?
Read the Dark Arm Dragon again.
This cannot be normal summoned or set. This card cannot be special summoned except by having exactly 3 dark monsters from your graveyard. So like that line of text is still relevant in this case.
Correct. So you can only special summon Dark Arm Dragon from your hand with its effect.
As long as it doesn't have some very specific requirement for special summoning, it can just be added to the board.
Right. Now read the rest of Dark Arm Dragon.
Yeah, you can remove 1 dark monster from your graveyard and destroy 1 card of the field. So which means you would banish those monsters and then you get those monsters back. Interesting.
And then again, there's the Dark Destroyer.
I'm assuming this. Again, I'm gonna go with my gut here and say like eventually there'd be a critical mass of really good cards for this. That this card would have to be banned or changed in some way. This is a.
I think so. You didn't seem too sure though. You didn't have the visceral reaction
I think
like you did with some of the
a
other
lot
ones.
of like this one. I almost feel like is very like I feel like it's the same thing with the Destroyer where you don't. I don't have the full context to truly understand how good this is. It's a hard card to like evaluate just in a vacuum because of just the insane amount of effects that your monsters can have, right? It's hard to me to really be like, oh shit, this is so broken without seeing like the whole puzzle piece. It's like the mine card again, right? Like I'm not seeing the whole vision from all the card games I've played. Like the line of text that says special summon as many of your removed from play monsters as possible. There's gonna be enough monsters at some point where it's like, this will be fucking disgusting. And yeah, paying half your life points is a huge thing. Special summoning monsters that win you the game, who gives a fuck? That's probably the best evaluation I can give of this card without seeing the entire puzzle.
Final answer. Well, Return from the Different Dimension was legal at the same time as Dark Arm Dragon, which is why I sort of hinted in that direction.
For sure.
And it was not legal the same time as Cosmo Dark Destroyer because it is in fact banned. You're correct.
Okay.
You are correct. Anytime like a card in Yu-Gi-Oh says special summon as many monsters as possible, it's probably it's not even just for Yu-Gi-Oh, for any card game, right? It's probably just like insane.
That's
so
see, it's weird because like in Hearthstone, like there's been a lot of effects that do this, but they don't feel like.
You also have summoning sickness.
Yeah,
though.
we have
in our game we don't.
Yeah, see, like that's the bigger thing. We also like the bigger. I think the most important difference between our games is like a lot of the really powerful effects in Hearthstone are battlecry effects. So like they don't just get to do their effect because they got special summon. Like they need to come from your hand to do that effect. And I think
I see.
It would really limit like how powerful this effect would be. Now I refer to like a bunch of stats as just like a big meatball. Like in Hearthstone,
okay.
Big meatballs are often not enough for you to carry out a game. Like they would have to do something insanely powerful when they're added to the board. So like that's why I just don't. That's why I just don't think it's that good. Because in Hearthstone, unlike in Magic, you can pick your blockers in Magic. In Hearthstone, like if you have a bunch of big boys and they're not like taunted, like you just fucking go around them. Who gives a shit? Like, and if you
makes sense.
If you couldn't kill them there, you're probably gonna lose the game anyways. But that's just because you couldn't deal with the stats regardless. Where Yu-Gi-Oh,
Sure.
like you have so many cards that just play like, oh, once per turn, activate this effect, just fuck your guy yours across the table, and you win the game.
Pretty much, yes. That's how the game works.
So,
yeah, Return was Dad Return was literally the name of the deck, and it was I basically just lined it up for you, where it's you summon a Dad, you banish all your stuff, and then you return it all back, and you just win the game immediately. It's the name of the format, and yeah, very banned card, very banned card.
wait, you can activate this trap card on your turn, right?
Yeah, you'd have to set it first, but
Yeah, so you would set. Okay, so like this is like.
So you would like turn before, set return, like maybe do something pass. Next turn, if return's still on the field,
Yeah.
like do some stuff. Special summon Dad, banish 3 guys, activate return, bring them all back, just kill your
So
opponent.
in this case, I gotta stop thinking that your card game has like summoning sickness. I keep thinking like stats are not irrelevant because your monster's gonna die before it even gets the swing. But like that's obviously not the case. Like if you got to set this and your opponent doesn't interact with your back row, like you just fuck them up with stats. Like this is one of the particular cases where stats are really relevant.
So you think having summoning sickness would make a difference for this, is what you're saying?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh. No.
Oh, okay, okay.
No.
Just curious.
If
Just
this
curious.
card, like,
just
I'll give
curious.
you the inverse of this is like, if you gave me this card and you said every monster or any creature I summon from this in Hearthstone had charge, it would be fucking broken. Like you would
Sure.
play this deck, you'd play this card in a lot of different decks. If you could, I don't know what it would be, but because they have summoning sickness and your opponent gets to react, it's infinitely different.
Well, that's why Dark Arm Dragon paired so well with it, because Dark Arm Dragon cleared their field of monsters and back row potentially. Then you flip return, bring everything back, and it's safe because now they don't have a board and you just kill them, and they have no way to respond.
That makes
to
a
it.
lot of sense.
So.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right, only a couple left.
That grass looks greener, okay? If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you have the same number of cards in your opponent. Do we really have to go through this? Is this not just also just fucked? What is this?
Tell me what you're thinking.
Send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you have the same number of cards in the deck as your opponent. I would imagine going second, this is like fucking insane, depending on what your opponent does.
Going first, I'm not sure, but I think you're willing to take that risk. Hold on. If your opponent has more cards in your deck than your opponent does. Because like you like we've gone through this enough. Like you want cards in your graveyard. So then if you want cards in your graveyard, this seems like it's an include. Because like,
okay.
Yeah, like maybe this card, hold on. I do have like there is like an asterisk here because if this card theoretically does nothing if your opponent has more cards than you. But there are cards that you have shown me that does interact with your opponent's deck. And there's enough cards in this game. I feel like that your opponent would want to draw cards and like remove cards from their deck that you'd be okay with this. I guess it really comes down to how often is this card doing nothing compared to how often is this card just winning you the game. Is it enough to get banned?
I don't know. You tell us.
That's what I'm thinking.
You tell us.
Oh my God. Okay, in Hearthstone, I wouldn't want this. There's no reason for it. In Magic, like with the graveyard pool, I have no idea how to evaluate this for you though, but you do like stuff in your graveyard. I don't know how to evaluate this, to be honest. I think it's good. Going second, okay. You're probably okay. Your opponent knows you run this though. It adds this like this strange mini game because like your opponent doesn't want to. So in that logic, you probably don't want a card like this to exist in your game because of how it makes your opponent play. Because like then they have to, again, it's like the chicken and the game of chicken. Like, do you go or do I go? Like what it's like reverse Max E, bro. This is
that's a way for it to describe it. Sure.
It's a strange. Okay. Would reverse Maxi be banned? I mean, Maxi's legal, so how would this be banned? Sending cards.
Maxi's legal in Master Duel, to clarify.
You're right.
It's banned in the TCG.
So just so I am clear, if you have less cards than your opponent, this card fundamentally does nothing. It is just in your hand.
Correct. I actually don't even think you can activate this card if that is the case. Because it says if you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, that is the activation condition. So I actually don't even think you can activate this card at all. It just stays in your hand.
In other words, the only thing that this card would be useful for is like discarding.
Yeah, or like setting it to maybe try to get your opponent to like destroy it and like bait something. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So
then, oh God, this one's so dumb. This one is insane. Okay, so I guess the question comes down to is the potential high of this card just better than having like a dead card in your hand? And in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know if that's the case. This could be game winning. Like if this is a game-winning card if you have less cards than your opponent, because if you're trying to get cards in your graveyard, this is theoretically drawing those cards and just adding them to your graveyard without actually drawing your card, which I feel like you would be okay as long as the cards in your deck want to be in the graveyard. But also, okay, I'm going to say this is banned because I do think there are enough cards in Yu-Gi-Oh where you can interact with your opponent's deck to make this card usable. Like I feel like there is a whole context that I'm missing that allows this card to be insane. And I just, obviously I don't know what those cards would look like, but this is an easy card for you to just do disgusting things with if the other cards are available. So I'll go with this is banned.
Let me see if I can help you with that context. Do you know what Yu-Gi-Oh's deck size is?
60, 40, 60.
No.
40, 50, 60. What is it? It's one of those three.
Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, is a unique game where our minimum deck size is 40 and the maximum is 60.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's not I guess that's a great question to ask. So you're saying you would do a 60 card deck minimum. Okay, so now we go into the extra layer of five-headedness of card deck building. Where most people are going to build a deck with 40 cards because consistently speaking, that is the best way to find your win condition as fast as possible. In Hearthstone, it's 30 cards. If I can run a 20 card deck, I absolutely would. It's the same logic in Yu-Gi-Oh. So most people are running a 40 card deck, which means that grass look screener probably is going to be usable majority of the time, unless your opponent is doing the exact same strategy. But then at that point, that just speaks to how good the actual deck actually was. And then Konami wouldn't want that. So I'm going to go with, yeah, it's 100% banned.
So for all the reasons you aforementioned, you are correct.
Let's go.
So grass was really funny because exactly what you figured out is what happened. So when this card was printed, it actually fundamentally changed deck building. And so all these decks that would otherwise be 40 card decks, maybe 41, 42, all of a sudden are now 60 card decks because they had the ability to play 3 copies of That Grass Looks Greener. There were also cards to search That Grass Looks Greener, Left Arm Offering. I think there was like maybe one other card I'm forgetting, but there's also draw cards too that you could like sort of thin your 60 card deck to maybe find grass, because we call these grass decks, and essentially if you were able to resolve grass, you would basically win the game because you would mill 20, if not more cards most of the time. And as you know, the graveyard is essentially a second hand in Yu-Gi-Oh! So you basically just get like a third of your deck into the graveyard, which means you're probably going to trigger like, you know, anywhere from 6 to 8 cards that have some graveyard-based ability. And you're probably just going to win the game because you activated this card as a result. So what people did to counteract this was that they also made 60 card decks, whether or not they were playing grass, because they didn't want their opponent to grass them. So they also played a 60 card deck, which may have arguably been more inconsistent, but it was a way to counter the grass deck. So everyone was playing with 60 card decks for a very short period of time. And eventually they banned the card. I think it's legal in Master Duel and the OCG at like 1 copy, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's still banned for us TCG players. But it's cool that a card like this like fundamentally changed how people deck build. And I think that's really neat, even though the card's like insane.
You said they banned this card because of the way it like it played? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if grass resolved with a 60 card deck versus a 40 card deck, that was just a non-game. There was no way the 40 card deck was going to be able to compete because the amount of advantage you accrued from milling 20 cards from your deck was insurmountable most of the time. It was just an auto win. So people, if they had any way to interact with grass, they would try to hold that negation. Like Ash Blossom, for instance. Ash Blossom could stop that grass looks greener. So if people had Ash Blossom and they're going up against a grass deck, they would try to hold Ash until grass hit the field, was activated, because then that might give them a chance to actually win the game. Because if they mill 20, the game is just over. There's no way they're coming back from that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, 2 left.
Activate only when your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand. Look at your opponent's hand, select 1 monster card in it, and return that card to the owner's deck. Oh, shit. Okay, so if your opponent goes sacrifice into like a minion they want, or monster they want to summon, you could activate this card and then you could just send that monster right back. Probably the play pattern you're going for. If it's a special summon monster from the extra deck, that monster also goes back to the extra deck.
Well, you're taking a monster out of their hand.
Sorry, you're right. Oh, sorry, I'm fucking reading this card wrong. Oh my god. When your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand, look at your opponent's hand, select 1 monster card in it. Okay, that's where my logic was going. Sorry. So if your opponent goes sacrifice, you could flip this card, and the monster that they want to sacrifice, you can do that preemptively before the monster actually hits the board and send that monster to your opponent's deck. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So if they play cards on the field and like you can read that there might be playing some specific card, in response you flip dustshoot before they summon that card to shuffle it back.
Do you have the time to...
I mean, yeah, that's a way you could use this
based
card,
on how
sure.
you reacted to that, that's not how this card would actually get played. So now I got to think about how you actually want to play this card. I guess you could just flip it and see what's in your opponent's hand, and then you're at a disadvantage, I guess, if they add a specific. So maybe the logic is like, if they tutor for a specific monster, you flip this card, and then that resource that they had to get that monster is no longer in their hand. So you send that monster back to their deck, and then their whole game plan's fucked. That's obviously very good. Like, stopping your opponent from playing their deck seems good. If I'm a player in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm about to play my deck. I'm going to cast this, and my opponent doesn't use a negate. They only use this card. Is that not the same thing as just counterspelling? I don't think counterspelling would be banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Either I'm missing something entirely, or this card's just fine. And by fine, I mean probably just good. That seems fun. You get to see your opponent's hand. You get to send 1 monster card back. If they have no monster card, I guess you get the knowledge of... And I guess if they do use resources to special something, you could use that like preemptively to stop them from doing that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not having the visceral reaction here, so like I'm really trying to think here. So again, if they only have 3 cards, like this card's useless. You're kind of hoping that this is like in your opening hand. I don't know. You might have got me here. I'm gonna be honest. This one's so strange. Is there anything like this in Hearthstone?
You said there's not many cards in Hearthstone that let you look at your opponent's hand, if I recall.
You were right, but I'm trying to think of like there's anything that would be close to it. There's cards that like when they're added to the battlefield, you do stuff to it, but like the effect still procs. There's a card called, I want to call it Snatched. I can't remember what it is. It was a secret. When your opponent plays, you put that minion in a sack, and it's on your side of the board now. As a 0/4, they have to kill it to get the effect back. But that
it goes into a sack.
Yeah, that card's so not played though, because the battle cry would still go off, and like most of the time you're playing minions, it's because of the effect that it plays from your hand. So like, yeah, you lost the stats, but like you still got the effect, so it wasn't very good. And I just don't see, like in Hearthstone, I want this. I guess in Hearthstone, the draw, Like you draw so often in Hearthstone now, like maybe an older Hearthstone though. This seems like a pretty old card. An older Hearthstone, a lot of things would come down to like being like a top deck war. You're spending 1 card to send a card back to your opponent's hand, so you're both -1 card. But you also get the knowledge of seeing what's in your opponent's hand, so you can play around preemptively what else they're doing. You have no idea how locked in I am right now, to be honest with you. My eyes are closed.
I can tell. I can tell. I hear you're like right up to the mic like this.
I'm going through every simulation.
I don't want to get it wrong because I'm gonna hold myself accountable for like 100% if I do get everything right.
Sans the Dark Destroyer.
No. Like, legally, like I'm counting that. The comments will back me up. Like,
you're making the rules now. You're making the rules.
The comments will say I got that 100%. So I'm not worried about it.
Sure. Okay. The comments are never wrong. The comments are never wrong.
I don't think this is banned. I can't see it. I think it's fine.
Final answer. So Trap Dustshoot is a very funny card because there are cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that are banned. You saw Confiscation in their very first video. Pay 1,000 life points. Look at your opponent's hand, rip a card. That's banned. There's the Forceful Sentry. Look at your opponent's hand, take any card, shuffle it back into the deck. That's banned. There's Delinquent Duo. Pay 1,000 life points, randomly rip a card out of your opponent's hand, and they also discard a card. That's banned. So, as you can see, Yu-Gi-Oh has a history of banning hand destruction cards. And so, not too long after all these cards comes along Trap Dustshoot. And Trap Dustshoot has a quite hefty activation requirement of your opponent having 4 or more cards in hand. And you correctly identified that ideally you would kind of want to see this in your opening hand because your opponent is going to, draw to 6 cards at the start of their first turn. So it's going to be live, assuming you see it in the early game. The later the game goes on, you're going to be trading resources. You might get into a top deck situation. This card becomes a terrible top deck. However, in Yu-Gi-Oh, hand knowledge is so good, I mean exceptionally good, that even with all of the specific aspects of this card, your opponent has to have 4 more cards in hand. You can only pick a monster, where with Confiscation and Forceful Sentry, you can pick any card. And it shuffles it back into the deck instead of sending it to the graveyard like with Confiscation. So hypothetically, they could see it again later in the game, especially if it's a card that might be in multiple copies. Trap Dustshoot is in fact banned and is still banned to this very day.
Oh my god. I don't know. My Hearthstone brain.
Isn't that unbelievable? Isn't that crazy?
My Hearthstone brain says that's not correct. I don't know. It doesn't feel ban worthy, and even after you say that out loud, it feels even worse that it's banned.
So for context, in Edison, Dustshoot is legal. It's at 1 copy. And even in that format, people would argue Dustshoot is one of the top 5 cards in all of Edison. Because if your opponent starts the game with Dustshooting you, they're just going to win the game because they know everything to play around. They know every single card you have. The game is still going to progress. There's still a couple turns, but because they know every single card except like the next 1 or 2 draws you might do, it doesn't matter. They're going to be able to play around everything perfectly. And at that point, a lot of games with Dustshoot ultimately become non-games. The amount of games you win just by activating Dustshoot versus lose is like 90-10. It is absolutely just backbreakingly unfair when it comes to hand knowledge in Yu-Gi-Oh.
So if it's in your opening hand, the card is just that good that they want to ban it.
If you're going second, like you maybe don't want to have Dustshoot. You might want to have a better side deck card because if you're not going first, Dustshoot's not as good. But if you just see this on your first turn, and Edison specifically is slow enough that the games might go long enough that Trap Dustshoot might be live later on in the game. Where with modern Yu-Gi-Oh, that might not be the case because people just kind of spend all their resources really quickly and don't really have like a lot in their hand after the first turn. So maybe by modern standards, Dustshoot would be okay, but I doubt it because there's, if you remember, I showed you that a pointer of the Red Lotus card a while ago, that really ugly, like, red guy with the finger.
Right.
That was basically another version of Dustshoot, and that also got banned. So Yu-Gi-Oh basically just kind of is, they've kind of taken a firm stance against hand destruction or hand knowledge type cards because it's just too valuable to have that knowledge. I think if Trap Dustshoot didn't even, like, disrupt the hand, that it would probably still be too good just because you could see your opponent's hand and know everything to play around.
That's so...
The fact that it's a 1-for-1 is still really good, but I think hand knowledge is just that valuable in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I wouldn't be surprised if they printed a card that says, like, look at your opponent's hand and it's a -1 and people would still play it. It's just, it's too good of a mechanic.
It's strange, though, because I think in Hearthstone, like, hand knowledge has never been good enough for me to be like...
But your games go on quite long. So, like, if I see your hand turn 1, you still have to get to, like, turn 7, 8, 9. You're going to see another however many cards.
Which is completely fair. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Okay. No, fair enough.
Last card.
Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. What a fucking
Sick name,
what
huh?
a title to have, bro. Holy shit. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned by removing from play 1 light and 1 dark monster in your graveyard. By paying 1,000 life points, send all cards in both players' hands and on the field to the graveyard. Inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent's life points for each card that is sent to the graveyard by this effect. Yo, that's fucking crazy. This card can only be special summoned by removing play 1 light and 1 light dark monster. Wait, both players' hand and on the field to the graveyard. So on the that means like trap cards, everything's gone.
Yep.
Except for this fucking guy. This is the only guy on the field now.
No, him too.
Oh, he's gone too. Okay. Inflict 300 life points to your opponent's damage. So it's weird because it's like you're sending everything to the graveyard in the hopes that this probably wins you the game. This is really fucking good if you're behind. This is insane if you're behind. But then your opponent gets the draw. Can you activate this before your draw step?
No, it is an ignition effect, so you'd have to do it during one of your main phases.
I have no idea how to evaluate this card. This is some nonsense. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh card, man. Send all. Okay, so if you have okay, let me just do the math here. If you have 5 in your hand and so do they, that is 3,000 damage. So often this is not going to kill them. Like you would have to have it. So there has to be a way. This is a very, very hard requirement, I would imagine. You have to have a light and a dark monster in your graveyard. Actually, psych, I thought that was on the board. I'm lying. That's so easy to get. Oh my god. And there has wait, no, but there was no way you would pull this card back out of the graveyard because you don't have your.
Well, it can only be special summoned with its effect. So it's kind of like Dark Arm Dragon, where you can only special summon it from the hand.
Okay, so if you remove, I think this card's really good from when you're behind. I'm trying to think of like how good this card is when you're ahead. I guess the logic is you do your stuff, you play this, you get rid of everything your opponent has, and then the game is wiped clean, but then they get the first draw, and I guess maybe they're at a lower life. I have no idea. Like, what the fuck? Like in Hearthstone, this card I think is unplayable. I guess it really depends. I guess if you make a meta read, this card would be very good if your opponent's holding a bunch of cards in their hand. I guess against a slower deck, like this is so fucking frustrating to play against. Because you're like, oh, like I'm just gonna keep these cards for removal, and then your opponent's like, no, bitch, and get like it's gone, and then you also took all this damage. Like that's probably good in Hearthstone, but like you said, Yu-Gi-Oh games don't play out like that. Yu-Gi-Oh games like are really fast, so like your opponent's probably not gonna have a ton of cards in their hand. Like neither will you for the most part, but maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I guess I'm really asking like how good is that effect to just remove everything from the game, and like you're virtually starting fresh. Your opponent's just at a lower life total.
Yeah, it's just a hard reset.
Then your opponent gets the first draw. But then, like, okay, I guess it really comes down to like, does Konami want this in the game? This is crazy shit. This reminds me a lot of Yogg, and I don't know if like Yogg's the best comparison.
I can see why you say that. No, because like Yogg ultimately, like what you're looking for, if I recall, right? You're looking for like Yogg to like wipe the board and maybe like get you like a card or two.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe just like yeah.
Worst
So
case,
like
yeah.
I get worst case scenario. Yeah. So I see what I see the comparison there.
So like the thing about this, I was thinking like, why would you play this card if you're like ahead? But I guess you just never activate the thing or the life points. You can activate this on your opponent's turn, I'm guessing.
It's only your turn.
Only your turn. No, what the? Oh, sure. This is fun. Inflict 300 points. You need what? 15's not enough. You're getting close though with 15 cards.
Oh, to like one-shot your opponent,
like,
you would need 27 cards.
27. Okay. 27 cards.
26 plus Chaos Emperor because it counts himself.
The card is very good in the sense that if you put everything into the graveyard, you can do stuff with the graveyard. And then you're also just doing a lot of damage to your opponent. I am going to assume that is good enough at some point where they would have to ban this card because of this effect. No idea if it's possible to like really OTK someone with this. And I pray to fucking God it is, because that'd be hilarious. I think you're using this effect to stop your opponent from having any resources. It's really good if you're behind. And I'm imagining you're going to put this in a deck where like the graveyard is like your hand, which is the case in most Yu-Gi-Oh games, but like you're probably leaning towards it quite a bit here. And if you get to do damage, remove everything your opponent has, and also probably get ahead with something in your graveyard, it's probably good enough. So I would say it's banned because of the play pattern of this card. I'll go with that.
Okay.
This is
right, final answer.
This is a card.
Final answer.
Yeah, that's the final answer. Yeah.
Oh, Raren. Silly, foolish, naive Raren.
So is it bad? Like, where are you going with this?
You are looking at the reason Yu-Gi-Oh created the ban list in the first place.
Oh, really?
list. Chaos Emperor Dragon,
Wow.
Envoy of the End, is arguably one of the most broken cards ever created. So a lot of the things you picked up on are correct, but there's several things that you're missing. First of all, I know you don't look at stats on any of these cards. This is just a 3,000 guy that you can basically play for free. So at the very least, even if you don't want to nuke the board, if you just need an extra 3,000 damage to kill your opponent, this is just a free thing you can summon to the field. So there's that. You're correct, like, from the coming from behind aspect, but even if you're ahead, if your opponent's on like 3k life, you just bring out Chaos Emperor, activate its effect, nuke the board, and it's probably going to be 10 cards between your opponent's hand and field and your hand and field. So you just immediately win the game if you just resolve Chaos Emperor that way. You were talking about trying to find some like dumb gimmicky way to like OTK the opponent. And while it isn't technically a way to OTK them, it's a way to pseudo win the game immediately. Do you remember back in one of our previous videos, the good old Yatagarasu that you thought was an absolutely terrible card? The card that is a 200 attack point monster that if it does damage, your opponent can't draw the next turn.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
The play pattern with this is you would summon a monster, which is either Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest. When either of those go to grave, you can add a monster with 1,500 or less attack or defense to your hand. So you would normal summon one of those, special summon Chaos Emperor Dragon, activate the effect, nuke the field. So neither of you have any cards right now. Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest have the effect that you could add Yatagarasu to your hand. And typically you'd want a way to special summon the Witch or the Sangan so you can actually normal summon Yatagarasu. So then you would normal summon the Yatagarasu, attack your opponent for 200 damage, and now they can't draw. Next turn, your turn comes around, summon Yata, attack for 200, they can't draw. They have no cards on the field, they have no cards in their hand. They basically are going to lose the game because they have no way to actually come back from it. So this is the reason that the Forbidden List was created. Also, like, Pot of Greed and everything also got banned during this time as well. But I would say it took this card being released for them to say, okay, we've had enough of this nonsense being in our game for long enough. And that is the legacy of Chaos Emperor Dragon.
Well, I didn't give you the YouTube thumbnail, so sorry.
It's okay.
I had no idea.
I got it with Crush Card.
That's a very funny card. Very funny. I'm surprised this is the one that actually caused the ban list because it's not something that I would truly understand without seeing the combo.
It's a card that basically makes it so that the opponent is physically incapable of playing the game like at all if the combo resolves. And there were very few ways to actually interact with this because I said at the beginning of this video, effect priority existed when Chaos Emperor Dragon was around. So your opponent couldn't even like respond to the effect activating. They could, but the board's still going to get wiped no matter what. So unless they had like a very specific card to stop Emperor Dragon from resolving, there was basically nothing you could do. And so the game's kind of devolved into this game where it's like, okay, I need to like make sure I can resolve my combo before the opponent resolves their combo. And you're playing this like little dance with each other to see who can like Yata lock the opponent before you get Yata locked.
Would this card be playable in Modern?
Interesting you ask that because you still have the final part of our video in deciding if any of these cards got errated and are playable today.
Can you give me a hint of how many that actually got errated?
There are 3.
Really? 3? That one for sure. There's no way.
Okay.
I feel like that card's cool enough that they would want to bring it back.
Yes, you are correct. So Chaos Emperor Dragon, fittingly, was one of the 3 cards on this list that has been errated and is not particularly good. They made it so that the damage is only dealt with the opponent's cards sent to graveyard, and it's the only thing you can basically do that entire turn. So it's still like playable technically, but I think it's only seen like super fringe play. It's never really ever done anything.
I don't think I've ever seen a card that says you cannot activate other cards or effects during the turn you activate this card's effect.
There's a few of those in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a few of those.
I feel like it'd have to be like really cool cards. I don't know if they would do Dragon. That doesn't seem like it would be the case. It's not interesting enough for. I'm gonna go with Royal Prussian.
Okay, that is incorrect. That card is still banned. Final guess. Final guess.
Different dimension card.
Different dimension. Oh, the return from the different dimension?
Yeah. Also incorrect?
Incorrect. That is also still banned. So the other 2 that have been errated are Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Okay. I will show you the new version of that. So how they errated this, they really massacred our boy on this one. You can only use the effect once when you do it. You have to, you can only target your opponent's cards. So you can't bounce your own stuff. So it still has like the effect to bounce your opponent's stuff, which is fine, but you can't like abuse any of like your own cards being bounced to the hand. However, this card sees 0 play just because it's been power crept and is just not particularly good anymore.
Okay, makes sense.
And the last one is the one that I think you had the best reaction to, which is the good old Crush Card Virus.
Wait, what?
So they errated the Crush Card.
I should have said that because that one was like iconic from the show, right?
Yep, it was iconic. So they errated it. They really massacred the fuck out of this card. So you tribute the monster. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. You still get to look at the hand. You destroy the monsters with 1500 or more attack. But then your opponent can also optionally choose to destroy up to 3 monsters from their deck and destroy those as well. Now, you might think that that's like a negative, but there are so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That have an effect that when they're destroyed, something happens, that ultimately this would be a detriment. And this was a reason to basically just never play this card, because instead of you getting all the value for activating Crush Card, your opponent would, and it actually just kind of made the card like break even in terms of like how good it was. So this card, it saw play like once after it was first errated and then has never seen the light of day ever since. This card is just actually unplayable now.
Interesting. Okay, that doesn't actually sound as bad, but I guess, again, that's one of those Yu-Gi-Oh! Things I wouldn't understand.
Yeah, it's like, because there are so many cards that just say, like, when this card's sent to the graveyard, or if it's destroyed,
fair enough,
like,
yeah.
you know, while it's in the graveyard, like, it's going to do, like, X thing. And so if your opponent gets to just, it's almost like they get to mill 3 monsters out of their deck that have a graveyard effect, right? So why would you want to just let them get free advantage off of this card?
Makes sense.
So like I said, it had a very singular purpose after it got errated, because one deck could play it against like the best deck during that time. But ever since then, it has never seen the light of day. Card is just actually unplayable.
Makes sense.
Straight garbage.
I get you.
So what do you think of Yu-Gi-Oh's most broken cards?
They're broken. I don't know. They're all fine. Again, you're gonna ask me this question. Every Yu-Gi-Oh card you show me looks hella broken. So I mean, I'm glad you guys don't have to play with these.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all of their continued support. So shoutouts to Shout1317, Sim00x3, MBT Play Medolce, Moto, Cameron L. Smith, The Synchro Guy, Pony Stark, Dan the Man Hoban, Little Fadeleaf, Draconic, Dylan Rare Hunter, JW11860, Brian Dancer of Class 7, Flannel Daddy, Twinkle Muncher, literally all of the guinea pigs, Cheeks McLapperty, Stolfin Amethyst, Wonder Waffle, MBT canceled by community soon, canceled by all committee soon, canceled by all players soon, Corvain, Absolute Angriest Peacock of the Edison Club, Daniel Howell, and life keeps using solemn judgment on my hopes and dreams. Thank you all so much again for watching, and we will see you next time.